That is what I like to hear. We're having a good time. So, just some few ground rules. Please no flash photography during the show, just because it could blind me, and I'm already pretty blind, so that's not going to be good. The other thing is, if you like our jokes, please laugh. We love to hear that. And then, other than that, let's all have a good time. So I'm going to be your first comedian, actually. Yeah, give it up. Yeah. So, St. Patty's Day was the other day. That was fun, right? I like holidays. I like to have fun. Sometimes I celebrate holidays privately. I do this thing with Groundhog's Day where every morning I wake up to see if I can see my shadow, and if I can, it's 6 more weeks of not getting laid. No, I have fun. So I'm gonna I'll let y'all get to know me a little bit.
Hold on before you start. I want to say something. Sorry.
Sure. Just a moment.
So actually, I just want everybody to know this is our first time. I hope this goes really well and you guys all have a really good time. I hope everybody leaves their feelings outside, because I hope nobody gets offended or hurt or whatever. But if you do, I'll come give you a great big hug, I promise. So I really think that in this life and in this day, right now, hell guys, we need laughter. That's it. We need laughter.
Woo,
and
yes.
So, I think we just need to love each other, no matter who we are, what color we are, what belief system we are. We just need to love each other, because we're all Americans in here. So I hope you have a really good time. Please give me feedback. I really want that, and I want honest feedback, please. Because if this is good and you guys like it, I want to do it once a month. So, okay? Thanks.
Alrighty, y'all ready to hear some gosh dang comedy? Let's get this started. Okay, so I like to start my shows introducing myself and letting the audience get to know me a little bit. Hello. Hello. Yes, say it back. Awesome. My name is Matthew. Don't say that part back. It'll just be a jumble of names. But I am a student over in San Marcos, and I'm going to tell you a little about myself, okay? So when I was I don't know if you can tell about the everything about me, but I went to public school. And anyone who's gone through public school can tell you that it is an experience, to say the least. I know at least at my public school, when I was in high school, we always had almost like a cast of characters. Like, we didn't have normal teachers. We had teachers that students visiting the school would have to know about before they got there. We always had this one super religious math teacher, and I'm talking they would find a way to teach you about God through math some way or another. They'd stand at the front of the classroom. What do you get when you take one man plus one woman minus one marriage? I didn't know anything, so I'd sit at the back. I don't know, a baby? They'd go, wrong, a whore. I would also have accepted Jessica. Jessica was a classmate of mine. They did not like math. We also had a teacher that everyone called Coach. And they were there clearly to teach coach basketball or coach baseball or something like that. But I think legally the school had to give them a class to teach, so it was like human geography or something like that. We'd always walk in, Coach, what are we learning today? Whatever this movie starring Mel Gibson teaches you. No, but high school was a fun time. I remember we used to do this thing in high school called Kahoot. And yes, if any of you have kids, they've probably used it once or twice. And for those of you who don't know, how Kahoot works is that the teacher puts a question up on the board, right, up on the projector, and then everyone logs in on their phones or laptops or whatever they have, and then they answer that question, and it's almost like a game show, You get to see who's in first place, you get to see how your teammates are doing, how your classmates are doing, and it was fun. But the real fun part of Kahoot is that every time we played Kahoot, we'd have to choose a name, and there was no filter. And not one of these poor teachers had the foresight to turn the projector off before we got our names in. We can all pretend that the real reason we played Kahoot was, to learn in a safe environment with our classmates. No. The real reason we played Kahoot was to hear our poor innocent teachers say something like, "And in first place we have Mike Hunt." My what? You are out of here, Mike. You are out of the game. First place is now huge ass. Wait a minute! No, but high school was a good time. I remember when I went through high school, we always had these assemblies every year for a little something called DARE. Now, who here has heard of DARE? Raise your hands. Let me see them. Beautiful. All right. So DARE, for those of you who don't know, is just sort of an anti-drug program. They have a mascot. It's a lion. It's sort of like if Tony the Tiger was just a little bit more on the right side of politics. And DARE had sort of like, I'll put it like this. It was the wildest stories about drugs I had ever heard. So first of all, these people, these speakers, they were always like ex-drug addicts, and the way they talked, they made it sound like they quit cocaine like 20 minutes ago. But at the same time, it was kind of like they didn't know what they were talking about. They'd be like, "All right, kids, what did we learn today? What's the difference between weed and black tar heroin?" I'm in the back. I don't know the difference, so I'd go, I don't know, they're the same, right? They're both drugs, and they'd go, "Correct. There is no difference. They're the same in every way." They'd go through their little spiel, and then at the very end, "What we learned today, kids, friends lead to parties, and parties lead to," say it with me, "black tar heroin." What we learned today, no friends, they lead to heroin. But DARE was a good time. And then my favorite part of the DARE assemblies was when they'd give sort of their own life story, right? Like if they had a camera, they'd pinch it in, but they'd sort of lean down and they'd be like, "Come here, hey, it's okay, come on." There's like 400 kids, so they can only speak to at most 8, but they'd pull everyone and they'd go, "I'm gonna tell you all a story about my friend called Dave. Dave was cool. Dave was strong. Dave had long, flowing hair." It was always like they were kind of in love with whoever they were talking about. But at the end, obviously this is a drug testimonial, so things can't go well. Things can't go well for Dave. As much as we wish his long, beautiful, flowing blonde hair could protect him, it can't. And so Dave would inevitably meet his tragic end, but not always, in my opinion, not always because of drugs. Because sometimes I think they forgot they were supposed to do a drug testimonial, and they just sort of start talking about past like PTSD. They'd be like, "You want to know what happened to Dave? Dave smoked. Want to know what happened next? Dave died. That's right, he was shot in 1976 on the streets." But DARE was a good time. So y'all have gotten to know me a little bit, so I would love to get to know y'all a little bit. Who here, raise your hand if you are from Smithville. Raise your hand if you're from Smithville. No.
Nobody.
Wow, that is incredible. All right, well, I think I know how this is going to go, but raise your hand if you're not from Smithville. Fantastic. We got a couple people who apparently aren't from anywhere. That's okay. You there, what's your name, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah, either one of you.
I'm from Flatonia. That might as well be Smithville.
That might as well be Smithville, okay. Do you mind if I ask, what do you do for a living?
I'm a cloud architect.
You are a cloud...
And a rancher.
So you build the sky,
I build the
and
sky.
then you talk to...
Anywhere in the world, I build the sky.
I'm assuming you don't ranch anywhere in the world. That'd be pretty cool. A freelance rancher hire you to come around. I'll talk to your cows for 20 minutes. I like to get to know my audience. Because I feel like we don't really talk to each other these days. You know what I mean? And it's not like we're divided because of politics. I think we're just fucking boring. Okay? I'll say it. I think we're boring. We used to duel each other. Do you know that? We used to duel each other in the streets. What the hell happened? Like, yeah, I get it. When you're getting into an argument with someone, it's pretty cool to say, I'll see you in court. You know what's way cooler? Saying, I'll see you at dawn. The flintlock in my hand, and if you're a man, you'll have one too. I learned the history of deviled eggs the other day. This is true. I was really interested to find out why they were so satanic. And as it turns out, back in olden times, deviled was something they used to refer to something particularly spicy. Now, I don't know who here has had or made deviled eggs before, but the main ingredient is mayonnaise. And to my knowledge, there's about 2 spices that go into it. Yeah. We're having a good time. Y'all having a good time?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Still are.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Speaking of history, I'm going to go back into my history. So when I was a kid and not getting lectured about Dave and getting shot in 1976, I was a Cub Scout. Now, being a Cub Scout was interesting, to say the least, because you had fun for a few years, and then something changed. So for those of you who don't know, in Cub Scouts, you go from wolf, and then tiger, and then bear, and then weebelo. Now, I don't know if y'all caught that, but something changed once we got to weebelo. What happened is they would pull you aside and they'd go, hey, listen, come here, buddy, it's okay. I know that you had fun selling your little popcorn and making your little Pinewood Derby cars, which, by the way, if y'all have never been to a Pinewood Derby, go. It is the most competitive thing there has ever been and will ever be. Obviously, only go if you know one of the Cub Scouts, but if you do, go. This is a true story. When I was doing Pinewood Derbies, they had to weigh the cars before we were put into the tournament because people were hiding weights inside of the cars. If you ever want to see a 42-year-old man with a kid have more passion than he's been in years, take him to a Pinewood Derby car and watch this man lose it. But anyways, they'd pull me aside and they'd go, listen, I know you had fun with your little cars and your little popcorn, but look at me, hey, look at me. Shit's about to get real, bucko. You know, and little baby me, I didn't know what that means, so I'd be like, what do you mean shit's about to get real? We're gonna give you a test. A test. And if you don't pass this test, what happens? Do I just get in trouble? You get kicked out of the fucking Boy Scouts, buddy. That's true, by the way. And I don't mean like held back a year. I mean kicked the fuck out. You gotta reapply for America, buddy. And and so I'd be like, so what do I have to do? They'd pull me aside. They'd go, you gotta make an arrow, okay? And it can't just be any arrow. This arrow has gotta be so freaking cool. It's gotta have colors everywhere and leather, top to bottom. Kid, this has gotta be the kinkiest looking arrow I have ever freaking seen. And I'd be like, okay, so, oh gosh. So I make an arrow, and if it's not good enough, then what? You pull me aside after the presentation. Buddy, this is gonna be a ceremony. We're gonna get a Native American to come in and judge your arrow before God himself. Their words, not mine. Okay, so if it's not good enough, what? You're gonna tell me afterwards? Buddy, look, it's okay, come back. I know you're getting worried. If this arrow isn't the fucking tits, we're gonna snap it in half. By the way, they freaking did. A couple arrows got snapped in half, and looking back on it, because they weren't really super decorated, and the names of the kids they were supposedly made by didn't ring any bells for me. I'm pretty sure those were just fake arrows they put in. But I think it's a little bit more messed up that they put in a few fake arrows just so they could snap them to show us they weren't fucking around. You know, and so you go to the ceremony, and by the way, I don't know why I thought that they were able to get an actual Native American chief to come out and judge a 10-year-old arrow making competition for a bunch of snot-nosed little kids, pro bono. Kids, by the way, who are in the Boy Scouts funded by the government, which Native Americans famously get along with. But, you know, looking back on it, I did learn how to make a fire, which is pretty freaking cool. I will say that. I'm not gonna say that I was like the most popular kid at school, but like for a certain niche of boys with pocket knives, I was the shit. I was their king, and honestly, if that's all I got out of Boy Scouts, then that's okay. Thank you very much, that's been my time.